Hi guys, this is Dr. Berg, live from Virginia. Actually, I lied. We're not live. This is pre-recorded. The first version this morning was a disaster. The sound didn't work. A lot of technical difficulties. So I'm going to basically recreate it with all of your questions. Okay, I hope you don't mind. The first thing I wanted to mention is that, I had some questions people want to know. How did I get involved with health? Actually, I got involved with health because of a lot of unhealthy behavior and a lot of pain. I was very, very, very sick when I was 28. That was a year ago. No, I'm just kidding. I'm 52. But when I was 28, I hit bottom health-wise. I had insomnia so bad. There was nights I didn't even sleep 1 minute. I had chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, arthritis all down my back and my fingers, constipation, dark, just like bloodshot eyes. I had like real dry eyes. That's why I can relate to people because I pretty much had every single health problem you can imagine, liver issues, you name it. So out of that pain, um, forced me to look outside the box and research and get with every guru and try to get some help. Um, but I was the guy that I had to hit bottom. You couldn't teach me anything. I was a no best on steroids. I pretty much I just had to hit bottom because I would oh, I'll do it later, I'll do it later. I can eat whatever I want, right? Well, anyway, um, I started to get better eventually and became obsessed about health to the point I started studying early morning, late night, and then started helping people. And so now I'm actually have a new addiction, which is basically to help people. I love helping people. And I read all of your comments, and I just want to say I appreciate it. I just love it. It's therapy to me, and it's very enjoyable. And I like researching as well. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is in this presentation, anything that I say, claims, promises, cures, diagnosis, all that. I'm not trying to diagnose you. I'm not telling you you have this problem. This is done mainly for your research and education so you can further research it with your doctor. So don't take any of my advice unless you thoroughly check with your doctor. That's my disclaimer. It's quite interesting. What they did, I think probably the medical profession was behind this, but if you look at every single nutrition label, they force us to include this one statement. It says, this statement has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration, okay? The product is not intended to diagnose, treat, mitigate, which means lessen, cure, or prevent any disease, okay? So if you do that, you're breaking the law. Isn't that weird? Like if you cure someone, you can get in trouble. So, and I just find it interesting that we can't have that intent. So anyway, we're forced to do that, okay? All right, so now let's get right into the show. The first question was about fermented soy. This lady had cancer, okay, and she wants to know if fermented soy is okay versus like soy protein isolates and all the soy product soy milk and things that are basically not fermented, versus like tempeh and miso and things like that. I personally would stay away from any soy at all. Yes, there's some positive benefits with non-GMO soy, but I would stay away from it because it potentially could increase estrogen. And a lot of these cancers, especially of the breast and the uterus, are activated by estrogen in general. So basically, I would stay away from soy if you have a potential to get cancer. Okay? All right. When would I recommend non-GMO soy, fermented soy? Number one, if you've never had cancer, and if you've tried everything and your hot flashes are not going away, okay, then I would recommend it, small amounts of it. Yeah. Other than that, no. All right, next question is about the HCG diet and keto and ketosis. Like this person did this diet before and now they want to go into ketosis. First of all, what is the HCG diet? That's a diet that you're taking apparently this hormone, which is interesting because usually you have to have that prescribed. So I don't know how they're getting that hormone unless it's some fake thing or homeopathic thing. I don't know. But That diet requires that you go on 500 calories, okay? First of all, you are going to starve the body of nutrients. You cannot survive on 500 calories. So they're going to lose weight, and it'll work the first time, but it will not work the second or third or fourth time. You're going to find your metabolism will shut down so tightly that no matter what you do, it's going to be impossible to lose weight. So really the only solution is to go on a ketogenic diet done correctly. And why? Because your set point is so stuck, that's like the plateau point, that we need to bust that. We need to fix that. We have to heal that. And we heal that through healing insulin, okay? So the whole theme of ketogenic diets is lowering insulin. If we lower insulin, we can force your body to burn fat. And with you, you may have to do 2 meals a day only, maybe even 1 meal a day. I mean, I have big bodybuilders that live on 1 meal a day, and they do fine. So you might have to work up to it, but no snacks, okay? So yeah, it's the only diet that I would recommend, okay? And you may only lose a little bit, but your stomach should start shrinking pretty fast. Okay, next question. Vitamin K2 and D3. All of a sudden, you're taking vitamin 2 and D3 and your heartbeat was raised, okay? And you're wondering if there's a connection. Not usually, however, if you're taking D3 and K2, your calcium levels could potentially increase a little bit in the blood. Calcium is one of the electrolytes, and it does compete with potassium. So if you have too much calcium, you're going to have a little lower potassium. Potassium is what keeps the pulse rate lower. So you have two choices. You can cut down the D3 and keep the K2 in there, or you can actually raise potassium, because potassium is all about lowering your pulse rate, okay? You can take it in a supplement or take it from food. I would use the electrolyte powder because that has 1,000 milligrams per serving size. That should bring the pulse rate right down. Okay. Next question. You're new to the ketogenic diet and you want to know the macros. Okay. So you want to know the percentage of carbs, proteins, and fats. Okay. Out of all of the macros, the most important thing that you can do is keeping your carbs between 20 grams and 50 grams. I would just keep it like 35. But you don't have to worry about the leafy green vegetables. So you don't have to worry about the vegetables like celery and dark leafy greens because those are not going to contribute to your carbohydrate insulin at all. So you don't have to worry about that, okay? Secondly, as far as proteins go, rather than give you a gram because I don't know how much you weigh, I would do between 3 ounces and 6 ounces per meal, okay? 3 to 6 ounces, okay? Now, how much fat? That's the variable. And that basically you'd have, like, number one, don't go low fat anything. Don't be afraid to add fat to your meal. But maybe you want to start out not doing too much fat. But if you do the right amount of fat, you won't have any digestive problems and you'll be able to go from one meal to the next without severe hunger. So I would actually start off small and you can gradually increase it until you get used to it and then you can decrease it. But the point is that that's the wild variable. Some people need a lot, some people need a little. So, yeah, okay, I guess that was a no answer. But all right, next question is about gout. Okay, I have gout. What supplement did I use? Well, you want to use, with gout, we want to use potassium citrate. You can use this or get potassium citrate. This just happens to have all electrolytes in it. But potassium citrate helps gout. And what happens, usually gout would come from high insulin. If you have insulin resistance or insulin problems, or like diabetics, they have high levels of uric acid. So we want to neutralize that with this alkaline potassium citrate. That's what you want to take. And keep your vegetables very, very high, and the gout should completely go away. Okay? All right, and next question is garlic. What form do I use of garlic? Well, I think you should do a sauteed garlic. You just slightly saute it in maybe a little butter with some onions, and you can put your spinach in there, or you can put your vegetables in there and saute that. I like zucchini, and I shave that little noodle shredder. I shave into noodles the zucchini, slightly saute it. I put the garlic, the onion, little non-sugar tomato sauce. I'm good to go. It's really good. Parmesan cheese. All right, so now another person says, I have, instead of right shoulder pain, I have left shoulder pain. Because a lot of times with gallbladder, I talk about the right shoulder. not the left shoulder. Now, there's two nerves that come from your digestive system. One is the phrenic nerve. Well, actually, they're both phrenic, but they come off the diaphragm up through this way. So even though the gallbladder will get swollen and cause pressure on that phrenic nerve, causing right shoulder pain, neck problems, or headaches on this side, it could happen on the left side too. And if that's the case, that means that your pancreas is maybe a little swollen, and that can happen. So you just do acupressure over the left, off the midline, underneath the rib cage, okay? And the headaches go away. Then we know for a fact it was coming from your digestive system, okay? Next question is migraines. What do you suggest for migraines? Well, migraines can come from several things. The most common is a digestive gallbladder issue. So if you have a migraine, press underneath the right rib cage and see if that lessens the headache. If it does, and it should if it's connected right away, not like tomorrow, then we know it's the gallbladder, and you need to not consume so many nuts, rancid oils, refined carbs to really correct the gallbladder, and you probably need to support the gallbladder with some nutrition, okay? The other thing that you want to do, look at for headaches, migraines, could be sinus, could be an old head injury, things like that. I did a whole video on that. You can look it up, but those are the most common ones. Okay, so what about a 4-year-old son who went to the doctor and had something called ketogenic acidosis? Now, what is that? That is a condition which usually happens when a person has type 1 diabetes where he's not producing enough insulin. And what happens is that the acidosis, the pH, becomes so high in the body. And this is completely different than getting into a ketosis diet. It's never going to get that high. So it has to be dysfunctional. So if you have ketogenic acidosis, then we know there has to be an insulin problem. There has to be. I mean, there are other reasons for that, but one is a side effect from metformin, which is for diabetes. But here's the point. The point is that, and she mentioned that they already checked the insulin, but I think they checked the glucose. They checked the glucose, so they did the fasting blood sugars, but they did not check the insulin, the fasting insulin. I will guarantee they didn't, because they probably would find a problem. That's how you measure like a problem with insulin resistance. So I would get that test, and it's probably going to be very low. Okay, so in that case, then yes, you need to, instead of doing grains, do fruit, do potato, do red potato, do yam. Okay, and then also have potassium citrate to bring the pH down. And there's a certain water that I recommend. It's with these great bicarbonates. I can't even pronounce the name, but it starts with a G. It's a spring water from Germany, and it is really good to alkalize you if you really need that. So that's what I would have them drink. So yeah. All right, next question is a 59-year-old person that has high blood pressure, constipation, and so what's happening is that getting chest pain, okay? Getting chest pain and wondering what the heck's going on. Other positive benefits, but we have on blood pressure medication, which anytime you have chest pain, you're on blood pressure medication, you better check for side effects, because one of the side effects from medication could be chest pain. But it could also be related to the digestion because you have constipation, and that could be low bile. And that could back up to the gallbladder and liver and put pressure on the chest. That's the most likely thing. And I would do a lot of massage on the gallbladder and things like that. So to lower blood pressure, the other thing, there's two ways. You can do the D3 and K2, okay? Or you can do the potassium. Potassium, a lot of potassium will lower blood pressure. And it could even actually help your chest pain as well, and your constipation, okay? All right. Ovary removed, how do I salvage the other ovary? Okay, so if you have one ovary and you want to make sure you keep the other one, then what you should do is you need to avoid anything with pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, heavy metals, chemicals in the food, GMO foods. You got to go organic completely, because these chemicals mimic estrogen. They're called endocrine disruptors. And the GMO food will also do it because it's loaded with glyphosate, and that leaches right into your glands. So you have to avoid those those things that mess up your ovaries. The ovaries are very sensitive to estrogenic things. So anything environmentally that could be affecting the ovary, you're going to have to just go real clean, okay? Now we're going to take a very short break. We're going to a commercial from my sponsor, and then we'll come right back, okay? Okay. All right. Okay. All right. We're back and I'm actually the sponsor, okay? And I can't even see a darn thing. So I'm doing a little commercial here. I'm taking a little break, and I want to give you guys a flash sale, okay, on a couple products. These are new products, and this flash special, there's links down below. There's 5 products on Amazon, okay? And these products are quite amazing. I'll go through them, but here's the deal. On Saturday morning and Sunday morning, I listed down below, there's 1 hour between 9:30 and 10:30 Eastern Standard Time where you can get 30% off any of these 4 products on Amazon. So if you're interested, you can pick the one that you want, okay, and get 30%. Now, the only thing that I ask is to give me an unbiased review once you experience the results. So it might not be right away, but if you could promise to do that, I would really appreciate that, okay? So here's one of the products. It's the hair formula, and the hair formula basically has 3 main cool things. Number 1, it has all the B vitamins, natural vitamins, biotin. It has B6, B3, all the ones that are important for hair growth. Then it has all the trace minerals. It has a type of collagen that is from fish scales, wild-caught fish scales, and that really builds up the strength of the hair and nails and skin. And then it also has something for alopecia or hair loss, which has to do with high levels of androgens, okay? DHT, which could burn out your hair. And so we put that in to handle any possible reason for hair loss, and I'm getting amazing results. So that's one thing, okay? Number 2, this one right here. This is really cool. This is an insulin and glucose support. This is something new. And basically, this is for people with high insulin or insulin resistance or diabetes. This supports the blood sugars and the glucose. It's mainly for weight loss because most weight loss problems, especially plateau, are high insulin. So this supports insulin to lower insulin, and it goes after 10 key areas of the body. And there's actually 10 different herbal and nutrient things in there. Most people are taking metformin. This has one remedy, goat's through, which is actually mimics metformin without the side effects. So that's just one of the ingredients right there. So it would be really good for polycystic ovarian syndrome. It'd be really good for someone that has plateaued and wants to take it to the next level. So it has some really cool things, and the natural B vitamins and the natural trace minerals. So that's another product. This one right here, called Joint Pain Relief. This is the one that I built for myself because I have so many old injuries and bone on bone and a lot of issues with that. So this is like the ultimate joint pain relief, but it has all the traditional things, glucosamine and things like that, natural vitamin C, not synthetic, but it also has something called TendoGuard, which is a type of collagen that repairs tendons, which are muscle to bone, okay? It also will repair cartilage, so it actually repairs the joint. It also has adrenal extracts in it, so it's not a vegan product, but the adrenal controls the anti-inflammatory. So taking the whole adrenal will definitely support the anti-inflammatory process. It also has one of my favorite anti-inflammatories called stingy nettle root. I love that product for inflammation. It works like a charm. I used to take that as an individual product, but now I take this. Turmeric, which is awesome. Boswellia, and a whole bunch of other things. So this is really good for inflammation and joint pain. This one here is estrogen balance. This is not just for women, it's for men too. And this is the one that helps balance estrogen dominance. So this is too much insulin. This is too much estrogen. So estrogen, if you're a male and you have too much estrogen, your prostate might be an issue, low testosterone, hair loss, things like that. But for a female, cystic acne, and also hot flashes, and heavy periods, and anything where there's too much estrogen. And this is something called DIM, which is a concentrated cruciferous. It's like 25 times more concentrated than regular cruciferous. So this is awesome as well. And then lastly, my favorite, which is electrolyte powder. I'm loving this. The feedback is incredible. It has all the trace minerals in a citrate blend and the big minerals and trace minerals as well. But it doesn't have any maltodextrin, okay? It tastes really good. It has stevia and flavoring. You won't taste the stevia. It's just really good. It has 1,000 milligrams of potassium. Now, when you have potassium citrate, usually if you have 1,000 milligrams of potassium citrate, only 30% of that is actual potassium and the rest is the citrate, okay? Well, to get actually 1,000 milligrams of potassium, I had to put in here almost 3,000 milligrams per serving of potassium citrate because it splits off into the citrate. So you get the benefit of the citrate with things like kidney stones and gout, but you also get the benefit of the potassium for those people that can't get all the vegetables that they want and want a jump start. But it gives you a lot of energy. It's very hydrating, great for a workout, and also good for dissolving kidney stones. So this is another one you could try. Again, if you go to Amazon, 30% off, and look down below so you could actually find out the times that you can get that. It's not all the time. It's only a very temporary 1-hour window to get any of these at 30% off, okay? All right, so I'm going to come back to my show here and take off my commercial shirt. Okay, so next question is, does kale deplete iodine, and should I avoid it? Okay, no, you should not avoid it. Kale is very, very low in oxalates, so it's not going to affect your stones like spinach is off the charts. So it's not going to create kidney stones. And there's so many benefits of kale for detoxification of chemicals. But it also, all you need to do is add some sea kelp to get that natural iodine to actually counter any depletion of iodine from kale. All right? Next question. Nosebleeds. I've had nosebleeds for a year. Wow, that's an interesting question. So the nosebleeds, you need to consume a food-based vitamin C, because what happens when you low in vitamin C, you get a version of scurvy, which is bleeding gums, bleeding nose, and the capillaries and spider veins and things like that. So you need to find a food-based vitamin C complex. Acerola berry would be a good one. Camu, and take a large amount of that and make sure you're not eating any sugar at all. But if that doesn't work, it could be your low vitamin D, okay? And if that doesn't work, you need to get a bunch of tests because there's something else underneath it. Okay, next question is, I was in the ketogenic diet, I lost 40 pounds in 1 month. You're a guy, 1 meal a day, but it's a good balanced meal. Now, should I eventually go to more meals to stimulate the metabolism? Well, here's the thing. First of all, you probably lost a lot of water weight in that first month, and you're going to probably start plateauing after that, where you're not going to lose that much weight because you've got rid of the water weight. Now it's into fat burning. The maximum fat burning you can actually burn per week is a little bit over 2 pounds per week. Yeah, so that's 8 pounds a month. That's like the best you can do. But here's the thing. If you add another meal, you're going to actually, believe it or not, you won't speed up your metabolism. It won't. You'll increase your insulin. So if you're comfortable at this, I would continue it until you hit your goal, and then you maybe can add some more meals if you want to add more food, but just make sure your nutrition is good, and make sure when you're doing it, you don't have any symptoms like hair loss, fatigue, things like that. All right, next question is, I'm a type 1 diabetic, and my blood sugars oscillate between 80 and 120. Is a ketose diet good? Absolutely. What is a ketose diet? It's a diet that keeps insulin low, okay? What's the danger of high insulin? Oh my gosh, stroke, heart attack, fatty liver. So you have to take insulin right now, injection. So if your blood sugars go below 100, okay, that means that you're taking too much insulin. So a lot of times people do a ketogenic diet and they're diabetic, the blood sugars come down, 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 real low, and they end up with low blood sugars, and the doctor tells them to have glucose tablets. I'm like, no, lower the medication. Lower the medication so it doesn't go too low because your body's getting healed. The need for insulin is going down. So you take less insulin. Okay? I'm not telling you not to take the glucose pills. I'm just telling you to lower the insulin because if it's going below 100, you don't need to take anything. The normal is 100. So I'm not saying you're going to cure type 1, but you can actually improve it greatly. Okay? And the side effects from too much insulin. Next question, can I do goat's milk on a ketogenic diet? Well, goat's milk is wonderful for allergies to milk, but it does have some sugar in it. I would prefer you do the goat's milk cheese on the ketogenic diet. That way, the microbes, the fermentation, can eat up all the bacteria, and you can end up with a higher protein and fat and low carb program, okay? All right, next question is PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, how to deal with it. I don't want to take metformin, okay? Well, you need this right here. This is going to lower insulin. Insulin turns into androgens, which give you the acne, hair loss, and the other things that are associated with PCOS. This is another one that could also be helpful, but mainly this one. But you need to go on the ketogenic diet so you can drop insulin and heal PCOS. What does metformin do? It lowers insulin. Well, what do you think goat's roux does? It lowers insulin. I think that's how they made metformin. They actually came up with metformin from some chemical that mimics metformin. All right, so next question is, you're a female, you have a flat butt. How do you make it round? Okay, so that's the gluteus maximum. That's your muscle, your butt muscle has atrophied. It's gone, so it's hanging flat. So you basically have to build up the glutes. And that would be any type of exercise. If you're on all fours and you bring your leg back up, it's a leg extensor. So you have to extend the leg back and start doing workouts with leg extensions and squats. Probably find some videos on how to build up the glutes. And your butt will start forming. But do it slowly because it's going to be real sore and it's going to take some time if you have atrophy of the muscle. Okay? All right, next one is what to eat when you're sick. Well, when you're sick, you need to consume things like homemade soup with a little more fat in it, maybe some butter, and maybe some garlic, onions, and if you have like a sinus stuff, then you need more oregano oil, as in pills. I would take that. But you actually, when you're sick, you need to have no sugar, and you need a little bit more fat and a lot more garlic and onion, okay? That's what I'm going to recommend. All right, ginger if your stomach is sick. Can steroids cause insulin resistance? Absolutely. Steroids are adrenal hormones, they're cortisol. Cortisol will release your muscles, turn your muscles into glucose and sugar. That's why a lot of adrenal cases become diabetics. So, because it's jacking up sugar. If you ever see someone with a gut, and I used to talk about the adrenal body type as the gut, that's because the adrenal hormones trigger insulin that causes the gut to be fat. So anytime you have a gut problem, you have insulin problem, okay, like a fat stomach. But yes, steroids cause insulin resistance for sure. So does stress. Okay, next question is, you have a hard time with the ketogenic, you crave sweets, you're tired, you're not sleeping. Okay. Well, then I know you're not doing it correctly. On my website, under extras at the top header, I have a little course on how the basics of ketosis. Watch those series of videos. It's free, and you can get a lot of information on how to do it correctly. You got to add the greens, and you have to add intermittent fasting. And yes, you might crave for the first 4 days, but the whole purpose of doing it is to lower insulin. If you do it correctly, the insulin should go down, and cravings should go away. So when the cravings go away, you know it's working. Okay? If the cravings don't go away, it's not working yet. So you have to tweak it. And the fact that you're tired means you probably need potassium, and you probably need something to help you sleep. Okay? All right, I want to thank you guys for watching. I will see you next Friday at 9 o'clock. We'll work out the bugs. Thanks for your patience. I'll see you tomorrow.